Hello friends, welcome to the Jazz Ranch. It's the only ranch where the cowboys sit around the campfire singing bebop tunes and the horses trade for scat singing. How about that? Anyway, I'm glad you joined me. I have a lesson this evening on the top 5 jazz chords, 7th chords, most important 7th chords to learn, and the scales that go with them, so you can learn to improvise using these scales. Now, I'm going to take you to the Jazz Ranch studio where I'm going to explain these concepts, and then you can learn to apply them in other keys. But we're going to use the key of C to start. This will be about a 17-minute video. So here we go. Here we go to the Jazz Ranch studio. I'm going to be talking about the most important chords you need to learn and the scales that fit those chords. There's going to be 5 chords I'm going to talk about, which I consider the most important chords that you should learn. Now, I'm just going to be talking about them in the key of C. You're going to have to learn how to apply these concepts and these chords to other keys. But the concepts you're going to learn, you just apply them to where they have 1 flat, 2 flats, 1 sharp, 2 sharps, whatever key you're in. It's going to be, of course, 12 keys, and the key of C is the simplest one. So we're going to start out with that. And you know your C major triad. We're going to start out with the major triad and the major scale. Now it's simple. It's just the all the white notes, right? Now the major scale has 7 notes, right? You learn that from Sound of Music. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You learn that as a kid. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. We number them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so root 1, 3, 5, and the scale is going to be right up there. And you want to learn how to finger that. Of course, this lesson is for beginners and some intermediates, maybe. Particularly the last 2 scales are going to be a little complicated, but first 3 are going to be some that you probably know, unless you're a beginner. If you're a beginner, you're learning these for the first time, and I'm going to try to help you. So here we go. So write up the white notes like that, fingering it, crossing under with the thumb, and then crossing over with the 3rd finger like that. So there you have those 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now, what is the formula of that scale? That's an important thing to understand, because you're going to apply that formula to every key. It's going to work perfectly every time. It's an amazing thing. So it's, if you play every single note, you're going to have 12 notes, right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then start over again. So 12 notes. But we have 7 notes, so there's not every note. We skip some. We're going to skip the black notes. We're going to go like whole step, right? Half step, whole step, whole step, whole step. No black note there, so half step, whole step, whole step, whole step. No black note there, right? So half step. What's the formula? Whole step, half, whole step, whole step, whole step, half. So it's 2 whole steps, then a half, 3 whole steps, and a half. You want to memorize that to start. You can play any scale, any complicated scale like B, which has 5 sharps, using that formula. Watch. Whole step, half, right? 2 whole steps, then the half. Whole step, whole step, whole step. 3 whole steps, then the half. Let's try F sharp. Whole step, then the half. Whole step, whole step, and then the half. Amazing, right? Just use the formula. You can play any major scale. You want to learn all of them. Start with the easy ones. C, F, 1 flat, B flat, 2 flats, C to G, adding 1 sharp. Go to D, adding 2 sharps. Start with the easy ones. Learn the major scales. Now, we take the major triad, and in jazz, we add the major 7th. So it just means we add the 7th step of the scale. And that's a major 7th interval, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have the C major 7 now, and it just takes that C scale. That's all the notes in it. Now, you want to learn the scale, and then maybe try to play some melodies with it. You know, just... or maybe... you can play a lot of melodies just playing on the C scale, right? And just using the 1 chord, the 1 C major 7 chord. You can have fun with that, you know? You can play hundreds of melodies just on the 1 chord. So now, that's the first chord you want to learn, and the first scale you want to learn. And you can also use that scale for the C6, the C major, the C6, or the C major 7. Now, the next chord is the dominant 7th. Now, what do we do to get that? We just lower the 7th step a half step. Now, what we have there now is a minor 7th interval. That's called the minor 7th interval. So we have the major 7th interval, we have the minor 7th, we have the major 6, we have the minor 6, and so on. We have all these intervals, but that's another lesson. We're not going to talk about intervals. We're just going to be talking about these important chords and their scales. So C dominant 7th now, C7, we're just going to play the same scale, but lower that 7th. In other words, from there to there. Now that C7 scale is also called a C mixolydian in the modal system. In other words, it relates back to the key of F. In other words, the 5th step of an F scale. So we're playing an F, actually playing an F major scale, starting on C. So it's interesting that these chords and these scales relate back to some other major scale. So C major 7 is C major scale. C dominant 7th is really an F scale, starting on C. Right now, we're going to go to the next scale, which is C minor 7. How do we get that? We take a C dominant 7th chord, we lower the 3rd a half step, so that we have a minor triad. Now, with the other 2 scales, we had a major triad, root, 3rd, 5th. Root, major 3rd, perfect 5th, with a major 7th. Same chord with a minor 7th is the dominant. Now we take the minor triad, lowering the 3rd, minor triad, adding the minor 7th. We have the minor 7th chord, and its scale is a natural minor scale. Now, C natural minor, also Aeolian. Don't worry about Aeolian now. Just let's think about the natural minor scale, and what is it? Well, it means that it's a scale that relates to another major scale. Remember I said these were all relating to another major scale. In other words, this one relates to its relative major. So C minor 7 has a relative major. Now that just means that it's the same scale as another note that is a major scale, based on a major scale. And that note is the E flat. It's 3rd. So E, the chord is C, E flat, G, D flat. So its major scale is based on its 3rd, which is the E flat. So we play an E flat major scale now. E flat major scale, right? Same formula as the C major scale. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. 2 whole steps, a half step. 3 whole steps, a half step. It's always going to sound the same. It's going to always be do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. 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 It's all going to sound the same, but starting on a different pitch. So now E flat major scale starting on C is this. What does it do to alter the C major scale? Well, it has the 2 in there, but it has a flat 3, has the 4 in there, has the 5 in there, the perfect fifth, but then it lowers the 6 to a minor 6, lowers the 7th to a minor 7th, so you have 3 alterations. The 3rd is lowered, the 6th is lowered, and the 7th is lowered. So there's your minor 7th. Now you can play some interesting melodies with this, like how about this one? You can play Summertime on the natural minor scale, right? How about that's another tune. Softly as the Morning Sunrise, another tune based on the natural minor scale. So now try to learn that scale and play some melodies on it. So now you have the most important 3 chords, the most important 3 scales you're going to learn. And when you play tunes, you're going to see these coming up all the time. The 1 chord, the 2, in other words, whatever it may be, you're going to see these 3 chords. The dominant 7th, the minor 7th, and the major 7th. You're going to see those. So now the next 2 of the 5 most important chords and scales are going to be more complex. They're going to relate to more complex tunes. So now we take the C minor 7 and we lower the 5th. Now we have the C minor 7 with the flat 5. It's called a half diminished. C minor 7 flat 5, or C half diminished. Now what that means is you really have a diminished triad on the bottom. Instead of we had the major triad, we had the minor triad. Now we have a diminished triad, which is minor thirds. Minor third, lowered 5th, lowered 3rd. We're going to add the minor 7th interval, or the flatted 7th on the top. So now we have a minor 7 flat 5. Now this has a complicated scale because it's very altered. It's very different from the major or the dominant or the minor. It's very different. Now, it's actually the 7th step of a major scale in terms of the scale tone 7ths. So if you play the scale tone 7ths in C, the 7th step would be a B half diminished. So one more half step up gets us back to C. So what is 1 half step up from C minor 7 flat 5? D flat major 7, right? 1 half step up. So we're going to play a D flat major 7 scale starting on C. And we're going to call that C Locrian. You don't have to worry about that term now. Just play a D flat scale, D flat major scale starting on C, and you're going to have this. Now that has really altered the C major scale in a radical way. What has it done? It's altered the 2, made the 2 flat, it's made the 3 flat. It has the 4 in there, perfect 4th, but it's flatted the 5th, it's flatted the 6th, it's flatted the 7th. See, so it's altered every note in the major scale except for 1. You have a minor 2nd, minor 3rd, perfect 4th, minor 5th or flatted 5th or diminished 5th, minor 6th, minor 7th. Wow, that's amazing. What an amazing scale that is. Now that scale is used often in minor keys as a 2 chord. So if we were in B flat minor, in other words, C minor 7 flat 5 would be the 2 chord of B flat minor. So if you were playing Summertime, C minor 7 flat 5 would be the 2 chord. See? You see that? another chord in there. It's the 5 of the B flat minor. 2, 1, 2, 5. See, so you want to know that minor 7 flat 5 whenever you're going to be playing tunes in a minor key, and that's going to happen a lot. And I have videos on tunes in minor key and how to use the minor 7 flat 5 and how to play it in exercises and improvise on it. So you're going to need to know that chord in that scale, you know. Okay. So now the last one, and this is the most complicated one of them all, is the full diminished chord, in which we take the minor 7 flat 5 and now we drop the 7th down one more half step. So now we have a double flatted 7th, or a 6 on the top. Perfect 6. So now we have all minor intervals. Look at that. Minor 3rd, minor 3rd, minor 3rd. We can invert it and we get the same chord, just inverted. You know, minor 3rd, minor 3rd, minor 3rd, inverted again, minor 3rd, minor 3rd. It's symmetrical. Wow, this is an amazing chord. And watch my videos on diminished chords. That is the most amazing chord in the whole system. And it has a symmetrical scale. It does relate to C major, the C major scale, but it's very different from the others, which relate, you know. We saw the 4 of them and how they relate, and how they alter it. This one alters it in a radical way. So here's the scale that fits this chord, the diminished chord. Goes whole step, then half step, then whole step, then half step, then whole step, then half step, then whole step, and then half step. Wow, what did we do there? We added an additional note to the scale. It's no longer a 7-note scale, it's 8 notes. Watch. 1, 2, 3, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It has 8 notes. 8 note is divisible, right? So it's symmetrical. Wait till you check out my videos on diminished chords. This is, you know. In other words, you have all these patterns you can create that are symmetrical, you know. So, anyway. So now, I'm not going to go into this in more in depth. I just want you to learn those 5 scales and practice them in C. Get familiar with them and the sound of them and how they feel in your hands and the patterns of them. And then try to apply the same concepts to the key of F. And then maybe try it out with G or B flat. And just learn that much and do it as an exercise. Exercises are good to do. They will train your ear, they will train your ability and your fingering and everything else. You know, this particular scale requires certain fingering, you know, that's the fingering. If I want to do it up another octave, you have to change over there. Have to change there. You have to change that way. So I'm not going to talk about fingering, but I want you to practice these 5 scales, practice these 5 chords in the key of C, get proficient in the key of C, get acclimated to that, accustomed to it, comfortable with it, in your ear, hear with the sound of it, the sound of every scale, feel what they feel like, then go to another key. It'll change completely, radically, but it'll sound the same, just on a different pitch. So we'll sign off now. Write to me. Tell me if you'd like to have a future lesson on this in more detail, and we'll go into that. So hope you learned something, and please write to me. We'll sign off now. Signing off from the Jazz Ranch, thanks so much for joining me this evening. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please write to me and give me a comment. I love to get your comments and also respond to them. So just give me some time and you will hear me respond. And just want to let you know about Summerkeys. It's where I teach in the summer. It's a great resort in the beautiful coastline of Maine. And you can have private lessons and join people who are all interested in music and taking music lessons, and there's a great crowd that go there every summer. So if you're available in July to go up to Maine for a vacation and to study with me privately, please check out the link below this video. So until next time, I'll say in the words of my great friend upstairs, Hermie Dressel, who always said to me when I left his office, swing loose. And we'll see you next time around. Bye-bye.